Yo, what is going on, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome to a brand new deck profile, the first of its kind here on this channel. I'm excited to finally bring you guys my Gold Pride Punk deck for August of 2023. I know it's been a long time coming since I started playing this deck on the channel in the Saturday Night Local series. I know a lot of you guys have been asking, and I appreciate all your patience in waiting for the eventual deck profile to come out. So I do have a 50 card, that's right, a 50 card Gold Pride Punk deck to share with you guys today. I have tried the pure variant, not a huge fan of it, although I do see, the pros of playing it over the punk variant. And I've tried the punk variant. I gotta say, for me personally, in my play style, in my experience with the deck, I do like the punk variant a lot more. I think the deck can just do a lot more. It's a lot more consistent, and E-Telly is one hell of a card. Not that you can't play it in the the pure variant, you definitely can, but I love the punk cards. They're really awesome, a lot of fun to play with, and they really do help to increase the ceiling of the deck. So we're going to go ahead and hop into this. We'll do test hands in a separate video as well, don't forget. Should be uploaded sometime, hopefully in the next week or so. And yeah, before we hop in, also a quick reminder, guys, check out Imperium Duelist. You guys have heard me talk about them for a while now. They sell all sorts of amazing playmats, deck boxes, sleeves, etc., etc. I don't know if these ones are still available, but they have the Dark and Divine Attribute deck boxes. Also got the light one over here. They were kind enough to send me. Again, I don't know if they're still available, but they've got amazing products like that on their site. And if you want to check them out, feel free to at the link below. There's a discount code, WinterKills 10 off. You can use to save 10% off your entire order and support the channel. And if you guys are buying anything on TCG Player, again, feel free to use my affiliate link, which is also found in the description of all my videos as well. Just click the link, shop, check out like you normally would, and a small bit of the revenue from your purchase will go right back into the channel, and it helps out a ton. So with all of that out of the way, let's hop into the deck list, starting with the monsters. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with our first monster here, which is 3 copies of Gold Pride Leon, level 3 warrior tuner. Basically, if he's normal or special summoned, we can target a non-warrior Gold Pride monster in our graveyard, special summon and defense. And then during our opponent's turn, we can quick effect immediately after this effect resolves to special summon one synchro monster, or synchro summon a synchro monster using only Gold Pride monsters we control. And Leon, like all of the Gold Pride monsters in the main deck, can special summon themselves to the field if our life points are lower than our opponents. So that's kind of one of the main objectives of a lot of the cards in this deck, is to lower our life points below our opponents so we can special summon all these guys, and they're basically all just free extenders. And one of the reasons why I wanted to play 50 cards is not only so I could fit in more like non-engine defensive cards and some other like extenders, but to kind of space the deck out a little bit. I found like one problem the deck was having playing lower card counts is like too many hands of drawing punk monsters you didn't want to draw, and too many hands of drawing this guy, which, don't get me wrong, drawing Leon sometimes is pretty good. But a lot of the times, if you draw him, it means you're not getting a guaranteed reveal 3 Leon off of your trap card, which I find sometimes makes it maybe a little worse in certain scenarios. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to go up to 50 cards. But yeah, so 3 Leon, I mean, it's the star of the show. I mean, that's why they call him Star Leon in the extra deck. So got to play 3 of those. It's simply just one of the best. And then we have 3 Captain Carry. I know it's standard for some builds to play 2 and lower card counts, but I'm playing 50, so I wanted to go up to the 3. And again, having higher card counts of certain names makes your trap better, gives you better grind game, and I think just sets your graveyard up too for a lot of other certain plays like later on in certain game states. And this is the one that searches the trap when it is normal or special summon, so it gets you to start your engines, which is really, really strong. It's one of the best trap cards in the deck. And again, if we have lower life points than our opponent, we can special summon it. It has another graveyard effect where it says you can banish up to 3 Gold Pride monsters or cards from your graveyard, and if you do, that monster gains 500 attack for each card banished. So you can just target a Gold Pride monster and just make it gain attack. That effect I find myself almost never ever using. I think maybe I've used it like once, honestly, twice maybe to good effect. It's a really weird effect that doesn't come up that often, but I guess it can come up because like sometimes you won't have that many Gold Pride cards in your graveyard that you want to banish, and if you just banish the carry, it means like Leon doesn't have a good target to bring back. So I don't know, it's kind of weird. But 3 carry, I haven't had a problem with that. And then 2 copies of Rollerballer, just because this one is only good if you have another punk on, or not another punk, sorry, if you have another Gold Pride monster on field. It's definitely like one of the weakest ones because it necessarily doesn't really do anything on its own. I guess you could say the same is true for Leon, but usually you've already like set up your graveyard by the time you're getting him out onto the field. And he's also level 3 too, so he can make the Chariot carry, which gets you into your engine and sets up your graveyard anyways. But yeah, 2 Rollerballer, because again, it's like, I feel like it's one of the worst ones to see in certain scenarios, because again, if you're just summoning him to the field and you have stuff in your graveyard, it doesn't matter. You have to have stuff in hand already or another body on field to be able to fusion with. And then we have 1 copy of Nitro Head. This card is pretty good against Kashiras, you guys probably already know that. Give them the token, and then they have to get rid of it before they can summon their Kashiras. Or they guess they could just hard open Birth, which kind of makes things a little bit easier. But, you know, that's a bit of an ask, but not really so much at the same time. But it does slow the deck down a little bit, which is nice. Stops Lightning Storm and evenly matched as well, so very, very good card to be able to end on. And it's also a level 8, which is important to make rank 8s in the extra deck, and also Synchro 11s, which we do play a couple of. And then for Gold Pride spells, we play 2 copies of Better Luck Next Time. This is basically Rhoda plus Upstart all in one. I don't want to say kind of like Engage, but it's close, right? When it's activated, you add a Gold Pride monster from your deck to your hand, and if you do, lose life points equal to that monster's attack, so it's already setting you up with lower life point count to be able to summon whatever monster that you search. And then during the end phase, or if a face-up Gold Pride monster or monster you control that was special summoned from the extra deck returns to the extra deck, except during the damage step, you can draw 1 card. You can only use this effect of Gold Pride Better Luck Next Time once per turn. You can only activate 1 per turn. So in the end phase, all of your extra deck monsters for Gold Pride get the effect that if you use their other effect this turn, they get returned to the extra deck, and then they summon a smaller version of themselves from the deck or grave. So that's how you're proccing that other effect there. They all have the built-in effect to return, so it gives you a draw and a search, which is really good. Yeah, I really only wanted to play 2 because, again, you usually just end up searching it throughout your normal combo off of the rank 3, the Chariot carry. Then I play 1 copy of the Crowd Goes Wild. This is basically just Rhoda for the deck as well in a slightly different form. Reveal a Gold Pride monster in your hand to add a Gold Pride monster with a different name from your deck to your hand. Then you can apply the following effects, which is special summon 1 Gold Pride monster in your hand, but lose life points equal to its original attack. So, again, just another starter if you already have a name in hand, which is really nice. And it gives you an option to be able to search something different off of Chariot carry instead of searching another Better Luck Next Time, which isn't always a bad thing for follow-up, but it is nice to have the option. And I'm not playing the other one, the Quick Play Ultra Rare, because I just don't like that card like in the slightest. The fact that it gives your opponent the opportunity to summon back something, I just do not like that at all. I've played it, not a huge fan of it. Then we have 2 copies of Start Your Engines. This card is really, really good. I think it's one of the better things about the end board is that like your interruptions are in a lot of different places, which I think makes the end board like unique and a bit more robust than like other build boards. And like it gives you a way to like interact with your opponent without playing into talents too, because you usually have the Punk Trap and this, which is really nice. That's 2 really solid interruptions without playing into talents. And this card is also not a once per turn. It just basically says special summon a Punk from your deck and then pop a card your opponent controls. And then those Punk monsters or Gold Pride monsters that you're summoning, I keep getting the 2 confused, are turning into more interruptions as well. And yeah, so if you open one, the other carry can search one, or you can search one on your turn, right? And then, you know, set up your board, and then next turn you can search another one if you need to grind out a little bit longer. And yeah, I definitely have missed the second copy, because recent builds I've been playing have only been playing one of this, and I like 2. It's easy. One's an easy side out as well, going second. So yeah, 2 copies of that trap card, because again, it's not a once per turn. It's kind of insane to have multiples of. And then now we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the Punk engine, which is the other complementary engine for all the Gold Pride cards. Because again, remember, all these guys are extenders if we have lower life points than our opponent, and what better engine to play with it than the pay 600 life point engine, which is the Punk engine. So we have 3 copies of Xiamen, right? Pay 600, add a Punk monster. This right here is full combo, whether you're normal summoning it or you're getting it off of E-Tally. I think off of E-Tally is obviously just a lot better, but it's great because it gets your life points lower, gets you a draw 2, gets you into chariot carry. Like, it gets you so much. And depending on what's in your hand already, you can even end on a rank 8 as well. Very solid engine. And we're also maxing out in Foxy Tune, which is also basically just more copies of Xiamen. And it's also just a level 8 body that you can summon sometimes for free off the field spell or off of its own effect. And then we play 3 copies of Ogre Dance, because again, we need more copies of Xiamen because it's literally one of the best starters, if not like the best starter in the entire deck. And then for this build, I'm really happy to be able to play 2 Deer Note. I've been playing the Punk version for a little while now, and I mean, it could just be me playing the deck incorrectly, but I feel like this deck loses steam very fast, especially if you're getting interrupted like turn 1 and you go through your Deer Note and you try to like reestablish your engine again on the next turn. Not having a second Deer Note is really tough, because it makes the Punk cards like just feel like so incredibly underwhelming, and they're just like dead cards in your deck, and then your deck just becomes significantly worse on turn 3, which is something I didn't want. And I wanted to have another copy of Deer Note, and I think going up to 50 cards kind of helps me to do that. It's also an easy side out going second for more non-engine if you need it. If you still wanted to play 1 in 50, I really wouldn't blame you. But I think playing the second copy is nice luxury to be able to have at higher card count. And then the other 3 Punk monsters we have are Madam Spider, pay 600 to search the trap, which is basically imperm. We have the Terraforming, basically searches out the field spell. And then we have the Sharakusai, which is your polymerization or your quick synchro on your opponent's turn, which is really nice. And then we have the field spell, which is basically Pot of Greed, right? Every time you pay 600 or pay life points in general to activate a psychic monster's effect, you can draw a card, and that's up to twice per turn. And then once per turn, you can banish a Punk card from your graveyard, especially when a Punk monster from your hand. So that extension is really very important for your combo too. And then the Dangerous Gabu. Target 1 effect monster your opponent controls, negate its effects until the end of the turn. Then if you control a Punk monster, gain life points equal to that targeted monster's original attack. So again, nice little imperm. It is a hard once per turn, so you only really want to play 1. And again, it is searchable. And then I'm also playing 1 Upstart Goblin. This is an idea I got from, I mean, I've got it from other places, but I saw the top 32 NAWCQ list was playing Upstart. So I was like, you know what? I kind of like the idea of playing it. I'm going to go ahead and try it. And I do like this quite a bit. It's not necessarily for consistency. It's just a starter, really. Draw 1, right? And then your life points are now lower than your opponent's because you're giving them 1,000 life points. So it works pretty well in here. And then moving into the sort of like the last bit of engine spells that we have 3 copies of Emergency Teleport. Yeah, basically just 3 more copies of Xiamen. We also have other targets for it too, which you'll see in a moment. But yeah, 3 E-Tele. You've got to play 3 E-Tele. Cards amazing in here. And then sort of like the last engine monster that we have is 1 copy of Virtual World Nyan Nyan. I got this idea from the top 32 NAWCQ list, so shout out to that guy for coming up with this really awesome tech for the deck. Not only is it a great card to be able to summon off of E-Tele, I find a lot of times this is just like not a half bad normal summon to be able to go into, like, and detaching it off of Chariot Carry, right, sets you up an extra extended or engraved to be able to synchro with because it can become a tuner. But it's also a good target to be able to send off of the Dragon Drive if you get hit with Droll and Lockbird, because this doesn't just add a level 3 Psychic, it can also send a level 3 Psychic. So for that reason alone, I really like this card in here. It just gives your E-Tele a little bit more flexibility, makes your extra deck plays a little bit more flexible, especially when dealing with things like Droll and Lockbird. So that is it for all of the engine for like Punk and Gold Pride. Making up the majority of the deck. And then we have the last 15 cards of the deck, which are non-engine / defensive cards. And first and foremost, we have 3 copies of Kashtira, Fenrir. Yeah, you might have guessed it. This card is great in here for a couple of reasons. I mean, it's just Fenrir, right? That's one big thing. It's a level 7, helps us establish Baron, which is huge. And the fact that it can search out another copy of itself is not only good for follow-up if we don't open well, but it's great for discard fodder off of Foxy Tune so we can keep the rest of our cards in hand. So 3 copies of Fenrir. Then I play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. This card is just insane. It's always been insane. Yeah, 3 copies of Ash. You gotta play it. 2 copies of Effect Veiler and 1 copy of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. Again, this is another search target for the Dragon Drive, which is great in certain matchups. It's not the greatest against all matchups, but it's a pretty decent card. And it's a couple different places like Dragon Link and Sprite, for example. Pretty decent card to be able to have to search out. And again, if it's not that great, of course, you can side it out. And we have 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talent and a copy of Called By. It was going to be the 3rd Talent and Called By, but I didn't have the room for it in 50. And I want to be able to stop Droll and not like punish the Droll after the fact. I want to be able to stop it, so I wanted to play 1 Called By as well. And obviously Talents is just great. And then we have 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence because this is just one of the best hand traps ever printed. So we definitely want to play this card. More defensive / non-engine, right? Just good generic stuff. I was playing a build that was playing more like board breakers and no hand traps, things like Dark Ruler, Cosmic Cyclone, you know, for the synergy with the losing life points. But the thing that I just didn't end up liking about it is the fact that when you're drawing in the end phase off of your Better Luck Next Time, I was like drawing some cases, like drawing like a Cosmic or a Dark Ruler or a Talents, like cards that weren't doing anything necessarily. So I wanted to actually like play actual hand traps in the deck. Like I wanted to play Ash, I wanted to play Veiler. You know, I wish Imperm wasn't as good as it is, because maybe I'd play like a different hand trap like Bell, or like you know, more Veiler, or play like DD Crow, for example, or maybe Nibiru. But I think Nibiru just hurts your follow-up too much to be good in here. I could be wrong, but you know, just something that if you can draw into it in your combo when you're drawing off your punk cards, or you're drawing off of your continuous in the end phase, right? I wanted to have higher probability of drawing something that I could actually use to then interrupt my opponent on their turn, instead of just drawing like follow-up, right? So yeah, that's it for the main deck, 50 cards. Let's go ahead and take a look at the extra deck. First and foremost, we have 1 copy of Gold Pride Chariot Carry. Now you're going to see a theme, which is all of the Gold Pride extra deck monsters we only play 1 copy of, and that's because they all have the effect to return themselves back to the extra deck during the end phase of the turn that you use their main effect. Now, that's both a good thing because the spell will allow us to draw 1 off of that, but it's also a bad thing because it takes a lot of the advantage we have and just gets rid of it, because that's just the mechanic of the deck. It's one thing about this deck that I do not like, but I get that it works with, you know, the continuous spell, and that's just the way it is, right? And the self-recycling is kind of nice. The fact that they summon out from deck to replace themselves is also kind of nice, but it is also a little annoying when you are trying to go for a game. But first and foremost, we have Gold Pride Chariot Carrier, rank 3, generic rank 3. And basically says you can detach to add a Gold Pride spell from your deck to your hand. Then, if your life points are lower, you can send a Gold Pride monster from your deck to your grave. So that is nice to be able to set up its end phase effect, and also, you know, just set up Leon. If you already hard open the card, it can set up things like you can dump a you know, a roller baller and then summon the Leon to bring back the roller baller. So at that point, then like the carry will summon out a carry from the deck or grave in the end phase. And then you have a synchro play, and then you also have a fusion play on top of that. But one thing I like to do with this is set up Trish, and we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, again, in the end phase, they all have the same effect, where if you activate the previous effect, return to the extra deck, and then they summon their smaller versions of themselves from the deck or the graveyard. So one thing I like to do is to go into this with usually the punk cards, like 2 level 3 punks, detach, search the Better Luck Next Time, and then send a carry to the grave. Then you activate the spell, search another carry, special summon carry, search trap, set trap, end phase the carry, brings out the carry from the grave, and then your trap is bringing out 3 Leons, guarantee get the Leon, pop a card, and then quick synchro with the 2 chariot carries, or the 2 captain carries, and the Leon into Trish, and you have your Trish play. You could also go for Leon again if you want the draw in the end phase off of your continuous spell. Of course, that's also an option, but having the option to go for Trish too is very nice, especially since it's so easy to set up. So again, we only need 1 because of the self-recycling, and then we have 1 number 49 Fortune Tune, which you can guess why we play this right there. And then next up, we have 2 rank 8s. We have 1 number 90 and 1 number 38, your monster negate and your spell negate. Again, remember, this is a monster negate that does not destroy because we do not have a galaxy card to detach, but it is what it is. I'll forgive this deck for not playing any galaxy cards in it. Then we have 2 fusions. We have 1 Yukio Punk Rising Carp. This is the choke point of the Punk combo. If this card resolves, you tribute this fusion summon card, you bring out 2 punk monsters with different names from your hand or deck, except level 8s, and you bring out Deer Note, and you bring out Wagon, which is searching your field spell, which just gets you into +++ city. So ashing this effect to summon is really strong. So watch out for that. Play very carefully around that if you can. Again, that's why we play things like Talents and Called By, to kind of deal with that if we can. So yeah, I mean, very, very good card, but unfortunately it is kind of a bit of a choke point of the deck, so definitely know that. And then the last fusion monster we play is 1 Gold Pride Pinballer. This is probably the best monster in the Gold Pride arsenal. This card is literally just insane. To be able to make it, you need Gold Pride Rollerballer +1+ Gold Pride monsters. The more Gold Pride monsters you use, the better this card becomes. It says if this card is fusion summoned, you can equip face-up monsters your opponent controls up to the number of fusion materials used. So if you use 2, you get to suck up 2. If you use more than that, you get to do more than that, obviously. And it does not target. Keep that in mind. That is huge. When I first started playing this deck, I didn't realize that effect didn't target, and it cost me some games against Labyrinth. So don't make the same mistake I did. And then it gets even better because it says, also if your life points are lower than your opponent's, the effect's activation and effects cannot be negated. So they can't stop this from going through and stealing a whole bunch of their monsters and equipping it to them, which is insane. And then it gets returned to the extra deck in the end phase and summons out Rollerballer from deck or grave, and that means all the equips that were attached to it just go to their graveyard, no questions asked. So it's a really strong form of removal. And then the last Gold Pride extra deck monster we play is 1 copy of Star Leon. This guy basically says if he is summoned, well, it's not on summon effect, I used to think it was, but it says during the main phase, quick effect, target a face-up monster your opponent controls. This card gains attack equal to that target's original attack. Then if your life points are lower than your opponent's, you can destroy that targeted monster, which is really, really strong. And then, during the end phase, you get to summon a Leon if you activate the effect from grave or your deck. So yeah, you can get really, really big, and usually that's how you end up going for game, is with Leon or Psychic End Punisher. And then we play 1 copy of Scrap Dragon. Again, shout out to the guy that topped the Nats this year with the deck. This is one of his ideas. It's a really great idea in theory, especially we'll be able to play around Gozen Match. Also just a beautiful looking card, right? You can just do your normal punk plays, right? Get Deer Note on board, and then synchro the Deer Note and the Xiamen into Scrap Dragon. The Deer Note brings back the Xiamen, and then Scrap Dragon can pop the Xiamen and the Gozen Match, and now you can kind of open up your engine again and keep playing, get your Gold Prides on field since they're all different attributes. So yeah, really, really great tech card for the extra. Of course, you don't have to play it, but it is great to have in there just in case. Then we play 1 Dragon Drive. Card is insane. Literally insane card to be able to have. If it's special summoned by the effect of a punk card or synchro summoned, you can pay 600 life points to take a level 3 second monster from your deck and either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. And if your opponent activates a card or effect in response to your punk card or effect activation while this card is in your graveyard, you just get to special summon it. So great card, great extender. And then we play 1 copy of Trish. I have not gotten to play this Starlight Trish in anything, and this is a deck that I can play it in, and I'm really happy to be able to play it in this deck. And it does come up sometimes. You guys will see in some Saturday Night Locals episodes where this card actually does come up. Really, really fun play to be able to do, especially your opponent's been trying to play through your board, and they got 1 or 2 cards left in hand. The fact that you can just snipe one of them, or even the last card out of their hand to completely shut down their push, is really, really strong. Or even snipe cards out that they've searched mid-combo is great. 1 Dragite. This should have been before the Trish, but it is what it is. Dragite, we do play a lot of waters in the deck, Carry, Rising Carp, etc., etc., so we can make this live pretty easy. And then we play 1 Baron, be able to make with Fenrir's. Of course, you can also make this with Deer Note and Rollerballer if you absolutely need to. 1 Psychic End Punisher. You usually make this to go for a game. I never try to end on this card unless I got drolled or I bricked, right, and I just need something to help me survive the turn. I usually go for this, and then just pray, but I never want to end on it. Usually just summoning this to kind of go for a game, get it huge, and punch over something that they can't do anything about it. And then 1 Yukio Amazing Punk Dragon. This card is also insane. Super fun to be able to summon this on the opponent's turn. Basically, if it is synchro summon, you can target cards your opponent controls up the number of level 3 psychic monsters with different names you control, and your graveyard, return them to the hand. So you usually have 3 different level 3 psychics in grave, so you just get to bounce 3. And especially going against backdoor decks, the fact that you can just bounce 3 of their set cards during the end phase is just psychotic. And then it's also an extender. It says you can target one punk monster in your graveyard except itself, special summon it, and yeah, kind of nice, especially at 3,000. Like it's an absolute house of a card. Great removal too. It's so fun to go into. Yeah, absolutely love that card. And that is it for the extra deck. Now we're going to take a look at the side deck. And to start in the side deck, we have 3 copies of the, well, 2 copies of Magnamut and 1 copy of Druisform. I wish I could fit the 3rd Magnamut in here. I am very conflicted on this engine as like a hand trap engine. Obviously, the Bestial engine in like a dragon deck is insane, no questions about it. But as a hand trap engine, it does feel a little underwhelming sometimes. But I just have to respect that stupid branded deck in the Gimmick Puppet lock, because this is one of the best ways to answer the Gimmick Puppet, right? Just having Magnamut forces out so much, right? Even if they have Mercurial, right, you can go Magnamut effect, target their Gimmick Puppet during the end phase. They can Mercurial it, but you're just going to be able to have the Magnamut for it again in the next turn. And yeah, it's just a great card to have against some other decks too, like Dragon Link. You could even side it against like Labyrinth or Vanquish Soul if you really need extra cards for those particular matchups. But yeah, I just wanted to be able to have these in here just because they are pretty good generic. And they also do, again, help to combat the branded matchup, which nobody likes getting Gimmick Puppet locked. And then we have 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird, just because I think this is a really solid card to have in here. Yeah, I think you just can't go wrong with having Droll in the side right now, this format. Then 2 copies of Herald of the Abyss. So this would be like Dark Ruler, but this is basically for the Pearly matchup, which I constantly like dread having to face. And any deck that I've been building recently is just like worrying about the Pearly matchup and worrying about how am I dealing with Noir, whether it be like Book of Moon on their Yeep summon or their Yeep target, or it be like outing Noir, right, with this card. Because you can't Dark Ruler, right, if it's unaffected. So you need a way to out it, whether it's Kaiju or Herald of the Abyss. And I want to go with Herald of the Abyss, or you can play Ixie's Encore. But I like Herald of the Abyss because it pays life points, so it's kind of a starter in that sense, and is also out to a very high material Noir that they have. So yeah, definitely want to play Herald of the Abyss. 1 copy of Duster because it's Duster, and then we have 3 copies of Evenly Matched to complement it because this card is also very, very strong. Has been for pretty much the majority of the format. And then we have 3 copies of Anti-Spell Fragments. This is the only card I'm really opting, deciding as a hard-going first card right now, because we don't really have that many spells in the deck, and the ones that we do play, we can side out, one in particular being like Upstart Goblin, or you could also maybe side out one of these spells, or you could side out, you know, I guess depending on the matchup, maybe a Call By or the other Gold Pride spell, but again, not super crucial, like, to have spells be live once you activate this. Because ideally, you already have your continuous spell up, and then your field spell is already up, and then, like, you don't really even need to activate spells after that to be able to keep playing, because everything is already, like, set up for you. So yeah, that is it for the extra deck, side deck, and main deck. I hope you guys enjoyed this profile. I apologize for the tremendously long wait. And I hope it was worth it. Again, my thoughts on the deck really quickly before we wrap up. I don't think this deck is that great, which is unfortunate because I love playing it. It is fun to play. Just something about this deck that I just don't like. I think if you really want to do well with this deck, you do have to grind it quite a bit. You got to learn the ins and outs, which I haven't gotten the opportunity to do yet, which we will when we do eventually explore this deck in a one deck, 1 month series. At some point in the future, we will be doing Inferno Noble next. Actually, not this deck. I made the executive decision for that. Hope you understand, but yeah, that's it for this deck profile. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like and sub if you haven't already, and as always, winner kill send it out. We'll see you in the next one.